Many things go towards making a game good. Things like a compelling story, stylized graphics, a good art direction because let's be real, realistic graphics don't work most of the time, engaging levels, and characters that are fun to control all come together to make said game what it is as an experience. However, there are some exceptions, mainly with well-known franchises where a game can sort of get away with being underbaked in certain categories. And of course, for Sonic the Hedgehog, I think no matter what, two things need to be good: the music, and more importantly, the gameplay. As Sonic is built around replayability, these games need to feel good to control and master because, well, you're going to be coming back to them a lot. And you know what, you all read the title, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it anymore. 15 years ago, we got perhaps the most replayable 3D Sonic game ever with Sonic Generations. This continued the 3D boost duology from Unleashed in Colors, as well as adding one of the best alternate playstyles that we've gotten so far, Classic Sonic. I'm not going to be covering in this video, maybe if this video does well enough, I'll talk about them. Both of these playstyles come together to form what I and most consider to be some of the best gameplay that we've ever gotten from a Sonic game. But what makes this gameplay so engaging? Why do successful runs feel so satisfying here? And most importantly, why hasn't a 3D Sonic game seemed this intricate, this masterfully crafted since this point? Well, to start, I think it's best that we address the boost in this game, since, you know, it's a boost game. Now, the boost handles the exact same as it did in Unleashed in Colors, albeit some minor tweaks to the overall speed. However, I think there's something that Generations does better than the previous two entries when it comes to the boost: how you manage it. You see, Unleashed in Colors both struggled and experimented with how much boost you get and how you get it. Obviously, Unleashed saw the player getting boost from rings and Colors from whisk capsules, however, there's one minor issue with both of these ways. There's no balance. Either you have hardly any boost or you never run out. Now, there are some pros and cons for both. For Unleashed, having basically unlimited boost means that the stages are able to have a constant fast pace and nice flow, but it also means that maintaining your speed will never be a challenge, especially since you could just plow through enemies. For Colors, maintaining your speed is now a concern, meaning you might have to ration your boost usage, but this also means that the fast pacing that the boost games were intended for is now mostly gone. This results in two games that handle the boost in polar opposite ways, with no true middle ground. However, Generations struck what I consider to be an almost perfect balance between these two directions. Boost in this game is given to you from rings again, except there's one major difference. This game doesn't place as many rings as Unleashed does, so now there's a very real possibility of running out of boost in certain stages. This means that the levels can now retain a fast pace, except for certain platforming sections, but more on that later, but also task the player with the additional challenge of keeping their boost. While there are many ways that you can gain boost in this game via tricks, enemies, drifting, and rings, there are equally as many ways to drain your gauge very fast if you're not being resourceful. Every time you boost in Generations, the gauge eats up a small portion of it before draining it consistently. While this might not seem like much, this small tax can very easily add up if you start a new boost too often, which will eventually result in the loss of a lot of your speed. This is genius, because while not punishing the player too harshly, it adds yet another factor that could potentially mess up a run. Speaking of runs, let's brush up on the stages, which have some of the most intricate level design in the entire series. But before we do, if you've been enjoying this video so far and you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe with the bell on so you don't miss weekly uploads. Every stage in Generations is replayable, to varying degrees of course, but most of them have layers upon layers of secrets to find on replays. Even on first playthroughs, the levels aren't difficult, yet still can punish the player with slower routes and ring losses. This does a much better job, in my opinion, of encouraging a new player to come back to these stages, which will inevitably end with them hooked on the controls and the very nice flow every level can have. Seriously, with how well these stages are put together, even the less interesting ones like City Escape and Planet Wisp are still some decent fun. Especially with Planet Wisp, man, I seriously don't see all the hate for it. Me personally, I've always been a fan. Sure, the lack of 3D past the 1 minute mark is jarring, but once you get used to the platforming in 2D, it feels really satisfying to just chain together precise actions for a solid 2 minutes. I seriously encourage you to go back to Planet Wisp if you remember not liking it and learn new routes that will make the experience more fun. And City Escape, while being mostly automation and spectacle for the majority of its 2.5 minute runtime, still offers some decent platforming and tight alternate pathways. But the rest of the stages, masterpiece. Truly, I can't see myself growing to hate these stages ever, just because they're so masterfully designed. These all have a great mix of 2D and 3D, with the difficulty of each stage staying consistent throughout. The platforming too, dude, especially in 3D, it feels so satisfying in stages like Crisis City and Sky Sanctuary. There are so many pathways in these things. In the opening of Sky Sanctuary's opening alone, there's a handful of ways to cross this one set of stairs that otherwise could have just been another homing attack chain. But no, you can homing attack the robots to boost across, badnik bounce and boost across, take the clouds, or simply just walk up the stairs. 5 seconds later, we've got yet another open platforming section, with the fastest route seeing you jump straight through the cubby in the structure, up through the dash rings, and boosting straight to a platform before jumping to the checkpoint to end it all off. In Crisis City, after some quick automation, you're faced with this giant area with sinking platforms and lava all around. There's so many ways to go about this small section, with most testing how well you can react to things like fire spouting out and platformings crumbling right as you stand on them. The fastest way to pass is to simply jump and boost at the start, stop before fire shoots out, then boost to the checkpoint. And my god, are routes like these satisfying to pull off. The most insane part about all this is that these examples take up mere seconds from their respective stages. So just imagine an entire stage requiring that amount of concentration and precise inputs. Stuff like that would have literally been impossible with Unleashed due to how much more slippery the physics were, but in Generations, it's perfect. Literally the best controls to ever come from a boost game are found here. Sonic Team locked in, and perfectly tailored this slippery fast version of Sonic to be able to properly platform. The most important change I'd say is one made to the stomp. Now, instead of how it acted in Unleashed with you sliding no matter what, you can instantly put a stop to all of your speed when you need to. This makes traversing type platforms, such as in Crisis City, much more manageable, and honestly fun to chain together with more boosting. The next best change is made to the drift. Now yes, it is true that I like the Unleashed drift. I think it works very well for the stages that game has, especially when you take it to the time to learn how it actually works and practice it. However, this isn't Unleashed. Generations and stages simply wouldn't work with that drift. There's too many sharp turns like in Chemical Plant and especially Speed Highway to justify having a drift that controls like a car. This new sharp drift also allows for more player creativity when it comes to how you navigate certain areas, usually resulting in a faster time. I also like the addition of the drop dash in the remaster. While not as useful as a well-timed boost jump, it definitely has its moments, specifically to skip the entire helicopter section in Speed Highway. Speaking of skipping, that's something that you'll find yourself doing a lot when optimizing a run. Skips have always been a part of Sonic games, but in Generations, there's so many of these across every stage that it easily stands out from other boost games. There truly is so much room for creativity in these stages, meaning no run is the exact same. Take something as simple as boost jumping. That alone can get you so far in terms of crazy skips. In Sky Sanctuary, you can jump over the first and second trick areas with a well-timed boost hop. Again with the boost hop, you can use this skill to very easily jump over the cannon in Planet Wisp, and you can do it again for this nice open section and combine it with a homing attack to consistently pull off this skip. With the blast off skill, you can completely skip to the top of this ledge at the start of Planet Wisp. Also with the blast off skill, you can jump over this pit in Crisis City instead of having to homing attack these fire enemies. Just a quick side note, but the skill system is so cool in this game. Ignoring the fact that some skills are far more useful than the majority, it's really nice how the player can customize their physics to fit how they want to play. Want to make platforming even easier? Use the quick stop skill. Want to go even faster? Use the acceleration skill. Want an easy skip at the start of every stage? Use the blast off skill. It's so fun to just play around with your skills and see what works for specific levels. Anyways, another cool tech in this game is badnik bouncing. I'm honestly really sad that this just isn't a thing past this game, as it was one of the only things retained from the classics. There's so many places for you to use this simple move to shave off even the slightest amount of time, like at the start of Sky Sanctuary, as well as in the first building. Most examples of this move though are in 2D, such as this bit in Green Hill, the second 2D section in Speed Highway, and another part from Sky Sanctuary. Now, whether all these skips are intentional or not is irrelevant. The point is that there are so many cool and easy to learn skips that are littered throughout every stage. This means that the player will always have a new route to experiment with and get used to based on their own skill level. Now, the one complaint I hear the most when it comes to the modern Sonic is that his platforming feels too loose and slippery to control. And while yes, this is 100% true, I think that's the greatest strength of this game's replayability, besides the level design. While Sonic might feel very slippery to control, when you actually learn how to properly control him through platforming sections, it feels awesome. It leads to some of the best sense of flow in the entire series, and it just feels so smooth to pull stuff like this off. His controls in 2D are honestly what makes the platforming in, say, Crisis City so much fun. Sure, the platforming would have been good on its own, but when you have a Sonic who can not only blast through said platforming, but also carefully maneuver it if needed, it leads to some of the most dynamic 3D Sonic gameplay. Now, this style definitely isn't for everyone, and I respect if you don't like how tanky Boost Sonic is in this game. However, for me, this is the ideal controlling 3D Sonic. He's fast, smooth, yet still controllable if you know what you're doing, and personally, that's something that the newer games have yet to replicate. While Frontiers and Shadow Gens do have easy to control, controls, I feel as if it's too easy. There's no challenge in controlling Sonic, and while that might be good in some aspects, I'll always miss the days of fast yet precise physics. And because of this hard to master, satisfying to pull off playstyle, the skill ceiling in this game is the highest that a boost game has ever been. You could have a stage entirely down and still need 20 or so attempts to get a good run in, and it's because of this that I find myself coming back to Generations more than any other boost game. And because of this very high skill ceiling, this is one of the most replayable Sonic games we've ever gotten. I could set 30 new bests on Sky Sanctuary and still not be bored, and that's why I have 40 hours on Sonic Gens but only 7 on Shadow Gens. And with huge time-saving moves like M-Speed and D-Speed being much harder to pull off here, this means that true skill really shines through in speedruns. Get one good run in on Speed Highway and you'll instantly see how fun it is to learn a section and master it. It feels so good to just lock in and put in all the right inputs at all the right times before finally achieving a new best time. In my opinion, there really is no other 3D Sonic game quite like this one. Anyway, it's kind of a bad ending here, but that's gonna wrap up this video. If this one does well enough, I'll make one on Classic Sonic as well. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel to help me out, comment your thoughts, and as always, I'll see y'all next week.